Hello, Carolyn. Good morning. Hi, Kendall. Good morning. Kendall, you're in my community, right? This is that Kendall. I'm interviewing Dr. Patel today, pharmacist on BHRT. So really excited. Ready to ask some of your questions, and I'm going to ask a couple more. For those of you that are watching this recorded, I have a community called Stronger Bones Lifestyle Community. And in there, I share extra. That's where I give the ability to ask questions to the people that I interview on my podcast, Stronger Bones Lifestyle, which has been amazing. And I'm interviewing pretty amazing people. So today I have two interviews set up. One of them is with Dr. Kimberly Zambito. She is an orthopedic surgeon, a hand surgeon. And so I'm interviewing her. So excited to be interviewing her. And then I'm also interviewing a pharmacist that goes around the world and educates functional medicine physicians on BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement, and how to dose it and what is the proper way to the proper form and the way to administer it. So that's pretty amazing, and something that those of us that are in menopause and even perimenopause, for the women that are starting to lose hormones and want to maintain the bone mass they have in the 40s. And then for those of us that are in menopause that want to maintain what we have and stop bone loss and build stronger bones. So really great. And Kendall, if you are able to chat with me, please let me know if this is you, because I do have a list of questions you sent me and I'm going to be asking those, and then I'll share them in the community. And so that's that. Because a lot of people watch these recorded, so I want to share that information. And the Stronger Bones Lifestyle community is where I'm showing up the most, because being in community is important. And I have to say, having this community actually forces me, and maybe forces is the wrong word, it allows me to show up for myself in the way that I need to and want to be the strongest, healthiest version of myself. So that's one of the things, is accountability for me, accountability for you, because this is a lifelong endeavor to work on our health. And maybe work is even the wrong word. It's the lifestyle. So not even that we're thinking of it as this is a lot of work, but rather, how do I want to show up every day? What can I do to support myself to be the healthiest version of myself as I age? Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to get some of those questions answered for you today. And if you have other questions for me, those of you that are here, go into the Stronger Bones Lifestyle community. I'll put a post in there so that you could actually send me questions. Well, I created a post in there, I believe, saying that I was going to be interviewing him. So any more questions you have about BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement. Okay. Good morning, Claudia. Nice to see you here. Anything in particular? I don't always choose the topics of my classes. My team does that. And I saw that today there was hips and wrists, and of course, always strength. So today I am going to be doing a little bit more that has to do with wrists, and because we need that. And then today I'm interviewing Kimberly Zambito, MD, orthopedic surgeon, and she's a hand specialist. This #1 fractured site in women over 65, right here, the wrists. So we need to make sure we have nice, strong wrists. All right. Any questions or anything before I go back? Look at my website. If you're watching this recorded and you're like, what the heck is she talking about? Go to my website to look for more information. I'll put that link here so that you can have access to what do you do and how can you be supported in your journey. All right, I'm going to go back there, and then I will not be able to see. I'll come back at the end to chit chat. All right, So one thing I want to say about this practice is that wrists and stronger wrists is a part of it. And what I've noticed over the years is that if someone had an issue with their wrists, and believe it or not, I see it often. I'm not sure what percentage I could say that I see this, but there's a very large percentage of women in particular that do not want to weight bear. When we come onto all fours or doing a plank pose, in the beginning, this is a really challenging place to weight bear. And even for myself, beginning my practice of yoga in my 30s, the two areas that I felt discomfort when I initially began the practice, one of them was my wrist, because I wasn't used to trying to get that movement in my wrist and then weight bearing. We don't weight bear on our wrists. You know, we used to be four-legged creatures, or maybe some of you think that we were or we weren't. And so putting our weight on our hands is not something we do often, yet we really do need to when it comes to fracture prevention. And fracture prevention is the name of the game when it comes to our bone health, because that's what we're trying to do, is avoid them. So today we're going to do some wrist work, modify accordingly. If you have props, they sell wedges that you could get that helps. I'll do a little roll up with the mat to show you as well. And as always, I'll guide you. You're going to hear my voice, and I want you to listen to the voice inside the most. What should you do? Shouldn't you do? Can you do? Can you or can't you? Listen to all of that and do whatever is appropriate for you. You're going to need a strap, a block, and a blanket. I will be near the wall because one of the wrist movements in particular is really my most challenging posture that I do. It's the hardest thing for me in terms of strength. So being near a wall is going to make that a more manageable posture for me. So gather what you need, and then let's come down with awareness, coming down, making sure you don't round your spine, but rather you load into the joints, bending the joints of the hips and the knees to lower down, whether that's a squat or a straddle posture with your legs. And then for today, we're going to do a little extension. I like to use my blanket, not knowing what you have access to at home. All of us have access to a blanket. So get a blanket and make it really long, so at least your entire spine from the pelvis all the way up to the crown of the head can be supported. And then roll up your blanket in as tight of a roll as you could get. Bring your blanket onto the mat. Before we even begin, let's come into a closed eyes position, bringing our awareness to this present moment here. So bring your hands together at your heart, push your hands to your heart, either sit in a crisscross leg position or a kneeling position. Every day we need to demand more from our bones. And the way we do that is we focus on building stronger muscles. And our bones are going to respond to the muscles that we already have, and then the muscle tissue that we're going to develop. So give it your best effort, depending on where you are today in terms of energy. Just check in with yourself. Today, are you feeling energetic? Or maybe a little tired? Are you ready to go? And just set your intention for the practice today, to show up, to be here, to do your best and leave the rest. It's all we can and should do every day. Or all we could do. Not should, but rather could. It's more of a positive mindset word. So doing your best, hands are together. Take a couple of breaths, mouth closed, into your heart. And then go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to come down onto our prop to do a supported back bend, taking yesterday out of the body. So you want to make sure that your tushy is on the mat and you are starting the blanket right at the base of your movable spine. So there are two bones in our pelvis that are not movable. We want to affect the movable part of the spine. 5 low back, 12 thoracic that are attached to the ribs, and the 7 in the neck. So sit on the blanket, and then when you come down onto your blanket, come down with a nice open chest, contract your core to use the muscle strength all the way down, And then arrange yourself so your glutes are on the floor. Bend your knees at first. It's always a good idea to start with bent knees to free up the pelvis and the low back. We're going to try to stretch and manipulate the thoracic spine. So take your arms out to the side, elbows bent, palms are up towards the sky, and come into a position where you feel the most stretch and opening underneath the arms and in front of the shoulders. Lift your head, lengthen your neck nice and long, and notice as you move, do you have movement occurring in your spine? So for me, that little correction right there, lifting my head and lengthening my neck, actually freed up something. I felt some kind of movement. And the more mobile you keep your spine, the healthier it will be throughout the rest of your life. So one of the benefits of yoga is the increased range of motion in the body, the flexibility that we keep in the body. And then there's a cleansing component to the practice, the physical practice. We are cleansing, clearing the cobwebs, not letting our cells get stuck, but rather moving things through our system. So take your arms overhead. Let's do that movement in the neck. Inhale. As you exhale, slowly let your head roll in one direction. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, let your head move in the other direction. And inhale, back up to center. Keep moving with breath, exhaling into the stretch and inhaling back up to center. Mouth is closed. Stay connected to your body. Feel the movement in the upper back and neck as you move through the side to side rotational movement in your cervical spine. Noticing what you notice. Bring yourself back to center. Take your arms a little higher, a little wider, into a place where you could feel a decent amount of stretch in your body, right at the chest, right where your body attaches. Lift your head, lengthen your neck. Push your arms towards the ground and your heart up towards the sky. Mouth is closed. Wiggle your lower jaw side to side. And then let the lips touch, let the mouth relax. And then breathing in the nostrils, focus on the breath coming in your nostrils. And start to breathe in the nostrils to the heart. And then breathe in the nostrils down to the belly. And now direct the breath in the nostrils down to the tailbones. The breath comes in and goes back and down. Breathing to your tailbone. Feel the pressure as you breathe down there. And then let's bring a little movement, a little activity into the breath. Take an exhale. As you inhale, breathe in down to your tailbone and push your arms into the ground strongly, rooting down the whole back of your body. And then exhale. Inhale down to your tailbone, strongly and actively push the forearms, the elbows, the backs of the hands into the floor. Exhale slowly to release. Inhale to the tailbone, pressing the arms down. Make sure you push the elbows into the floor, the forearms and the back of the hands. Exhale to release. Keep doing a couple of these, noticing, feeling, experiencing. Couple more like this. One more. And then give the breath back to your body. Let your body relax. Take a couple of relaxing breaths here. And bring your awareness to your fingers, to your toes as you start to bring movement into your body. If your knees are not bent, bend your knees. And then rolling off of your blanket. So stay here on the side that you're on and cradle your head. Let's do a little to free up the shoulder. It's a really good position to do this in. When your hand goes to the back, let that be the inhale, palm turns up. When your hand comes down alongside your body, palm turns down. And when you bring your arm forward and palm is down, that's your exhale. As you inhale, you rotate in your shoulder, palm goes up towards the sky. Reach as long as you can behind you to stretch. The exhale, the palm turns down, the palm reaches forward, stretching the upper back, the shoulder area. And then you roll in that shoulder joint, palm up towards the sky. We're going to do some wrist movement. We want to get our arm and our shoulder and all of the nerves that travel down to the wrist, free up that area. You're going to reach up and overhead. And then one more. And then bring yourself back. We're going to go to the other side. So just roll up over your blanket to the other side. Blanket there will keep your body honest. Cradle your head in with your bent elbow. So the arm is on the ground, bend the elbow and cradle your head. When we inhale, the arm rotates, the palm rotates up towards the sky. You reach the arm behind you, feel that big stretch coming into your arm, all the way down to your hand. Spread your palm. Exhale, hand down. Reach as far in front of you as you can to get as much stretch as possible. Inhale, rolling in that shoulder joint up towards the sky. Feel, and the gravity is going to help to stretch this arm. It's going to help with posture. Exhale forward, inhale back. One more. And then from here, you're gonna push away from the ground and push your body up. Use the pushing muscles to bring yourself up from the seated position. So I like that side lying shoulder movement. It's the most mobile joint in the body, very shallow set, prone to injury. And we get tight here with our posture because every day, all day, we have a forward movement in our body. Take your blanket and let's fold the blanket so we can put our knees on the blanket. If you have knee issues, a nice thing to do to support knees is to take the mat and fold it so you make an extra padding here. So if you don't have a blanket, you could do that support for your knees, or if you have the blanket or you could do both depending, or buy some cushion for your knees. So let's come on to all fours. Take your fingers out to the side. This is a more gentle beginning approach to wrist flexion, and then take your arms forward a little. Let's bring the body weight forward and bring the body weight back. Go slow here. Inhale when you come forward. Exhale when you go back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Spread your fingers, moving in your shoulders, moving in your hips. You come forward on the inhale and you go a little farther than your wrist. So you go far. As you come forward, your weight bearing in the wrist, you're going to feel that in your wrists. Then bring yourself back. Coming a little bit bigger, go more forward. Let your pelvis come closer to the ground on that inhale. And on the exhale, keep your tushy high, bend your hips, keep the front of your spine nice and long. Inhale to come forward, let your pelvis come a little closer. Exhale back. Gaze or forehead is down towards the ground on the exhale. On the inhale, you look forward and look up, starting to let your pelvis go a little closer to the ground. Depending on what the range of motion is in your body, you inhale forward, exhale back. The next time you come forward, look up and over to the side, and then bring yourself back. Coming forward up to the other side and back. One more each side. Looking up and over. Arms stay straight when you come forward. One more. And then bring yourself back. Bring yourself all the way up. So we're going to do a little movement, a little opening for the upper body. So a really nice thing to do here is to put a block between your ankles and sit on your block. Now, if you have knee flexion issues, meaning your knees don't like to bend, if you have 2 blocks, that'll be a little better for you. And if bending your knees is something that's not comfortable for you at all, go ahead and crisscross, sit in a crisscross leg position. So this is a nice way to find alignment in the body. I would like you to think of a 3-scoop ice cream cone where your legs are the cone, your pelvis is the first scoop, your rib cage is the second scoop, and your head is the third scoop of ice cream in a 3-scoop ice cream cone. We need to keep that alignment in our body, and that's going to keep our spine nice and healthy. So bringing yourself here, let's take the arms open to the side, keep them pretty low, and then exhale to hug yourself. Inhale, keep your gaze forward, looking up, and then hug yourself. One more. Keep your arms out to the side. Let's bring the elbows to the waist. Exhale, and then inhale to reach your arms long. Exhale, elbows to the waist, and then reach long. Shoulders are pushing away from your ears, making sure you're 3 stacked ice cream scoops, pelvis, rib cage, and head. Let's go a little bigger into the letter W. Exhale, elbows come to waist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, elbows to waist, and then reach up. Try to imagine that you're against a wall and you're sliding your hands up and down the wall. So keep your hands as close to the side of your body as possible. And then going into the letter Y. Exhale to the waist. Keep your heart lifted, letting the shoulder blades glide on the back of the body, clearing the cobwebs of the upper back and neck area. And you're probably going to feel this maybe underneath your arms, maybe you feel it in your upper back. We're working postural muscles. And then come into a held Y. And if you need to lower the arms because you have shoulder issues, do that. Look across the room where the wall and the ceiling meets. So you're actually tipping back your third scoop. Your head tips back. The postural muscles, upper back and neck muscles have to activate to hold your head here. So bringing some strength into the postural muscles of the upper back and neck. Mouth is closed, breathing to where you feel the most sensation. Take one more breath, and then bring yourself out. Take your hands, roll, make fists, and roll your hands around in one direction. Try to keep the arm pretty stationary. So this is not this movement, because that would be a shoulder joint movement. It's a wrist joint movement in one direction and then in the other. And then opening up the hands, going a little bit bigger, adding a little bit more weight in one direction and then in the other. And then open and close your hands, move your fingers, articulate the joints. That's how we keep the fluid moving in our body. We move the lymph, we move the blood, we keep things circulating so it doesn't accumulate. And then let's stretch the wrist. So take your arm straight across you, bend the wrist, and push the back of the hand, not the fingers, but the hand towards you. Keep that arm straight. Feel that stretch on the top of the wrist. Pushing the hand back. And then take the hand like this, like you're doing a stop sign. And then push the hand towards you. Make sure it's not just the fingers you're pushing, but you're pushing the palm towards you. And feeling the stretch now on the underside of the hand. Take the fingers, push the pinky down, the ring finger, the middle, the pointer, and the thumb. Do that. Feel that stretch coming into your fingers. Got to keep our fingers moving. This is one of the places that arthritis shows up early. And if you have a lot of inflammation in your body, you'll probably notice a lot in your hands. When women start to do an anti-inflammatory diet, one of the first things you'll notice is a reduction in pain in the joints. Let's go to the other side. Take the arm across your body, bend your wrist, and push your hand towards your body. Feel that. Pushing the hand, feel that stretch coming across the top of your forearm. And then pushing the stops, making a stop sign, and then push your hand back. Noticing this side versus the other. If you have issues in a wrist, noticing that. And then let's take the fingers. So pushing down to where it feels appropriate for you. And then move your fingers. So in Dr. Lauren Fishman's work, 12 poses versus osteoporosis. He has an ongoing study on the effectiveness of yoga for bone health. And one of the postures he uses, and it's not really a posture, but one of the things he does is this wrist movement. So I'd like us to do this now. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. So you're going to bring the back of your hands together. The back of the hands are together, the thumbs are down. Take the left wrist on top of the right wrist and clasp your hands. So I'll do that one more time. Backs of the hands are together, thumbs are down. Left wrist goes over right wrist and you clasp your hands. Drop your shoulders from your ears, separate your elbows, and start to bring your hands through and up. Now, when you're here, we're in the posture to stretch and pull on this left wrist with the rotational force. Lower the arms, spread the elbows, push your hands away from your body. It should not be resting on your body. For some of you, you may be able to go to straight arms. So see what feels appropriate for you. You're going to feel this pulling action in the left wrist. Push the shoulders away from the ears. Make sure you're not wearing shoulder earrings. Push the shoulders away from the ears. Spread your elbows, push your hands away from you. We pull on our bones in our yoga practice to create more space, more range of motion, to reduce pain and to reduce fracture risk. The more play you have in your joints, the less likely they are to fracture if you slip, trip, stumble, or fall. And then go ahead and release. Notice that tension that came into the left hand, all of that rotational force. Let's do that with the right side. Backs of the hands are together. Palms are facing away from each other. Thumbs are down towards the ground. Take the right hand on top of the left hand. Touch the palms and then clasp the hands. Lower the shoulders from the ears, elbows out to the sides, and begin that rotation, bringing your hands down, up, and through. From here, pushing the hands away from you, spreading the elbows, lower your hands towards the ground. So feel all of that action in your wrist, in your hands. Elbows are separated, hands lower, pushing the hands away from your body. And try to create as much sensation as you can manage. Take one more breath, and then slowly bring your hand out. Go ahead and shake. So let's come off of the block. Take your blanket, fold your blanket, and come to sit on the blanket. Let's take the soles of the feet together, warming up the hips. So you could do a little butterfly action, a little flapping here. Might make it easier for some of you to do that. Letting your knees come up, a little flapping action, sitting nice and tall in your spine. And then pushing the legs towards the ground, feeling that stretch on the adductor muscles, pulling on the pelvis here, stretching the muscles of the inner thighs. Take one more breath. And then we'll come into a wide leg straddle. So come to the front edge of your blanket as if you were falling forward. And I find that if you push away from a block, you could have a block in front of you or on the ground. If you push away from the ground, you want to be as tall as you could be here. Flexing your feet, pull your feet towards you. If you want to deepen this stretch, it's at the hips that you bend forward a little. Feeling that stretch coming into the legs. We're weight bearing here, so it's a little bit more intense when you're in a seated position, bringing stretch into your body. And any opportunity to pull on the pelvis, to pull on bones, to stretch. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. So I'd like to do a twist, warming up the spine, strengthening the spine. So we're going to do first the straight leg twist, and then we'll move on to the bent knee twist for those of you who have bendable knees. So sitting on the blanket is going to be helpful. Let's take the block off to the left side. So putting the block on the ground behind you. Now you may need the block or not. It really depends on the length of your arms. Take the left leg and bend the left leg, and then hold on to the left leg so you can sit nice and tall. Hold on to the left leg with the right arm and let the right elbow be bent. Take your left hand either on the floor behind you or on the block and put it like you're holding a frosted cupcake. So we're not leaning on this hand, we're pushing away to get as much height in the body as we can. Push your right leg into the ground, push your left foot into the ground, and your 3 scoops of ice cream, pelvis, rib cage, and head are all in alignment. Take an exhale. As you inhale, turn the lower ribs to the left, the middle rib cage, and the upper rib cage to the left. Push the legs down into the ground, push away from the block, keep the right elbow lifted, pull the left leg towards the heart, shoulders push away from the ears, shoulder blades slide towards each other, and then push the shoulder blades forward and up. Get an inch taller if you can. Bringing rotation. So rotation is the best way to strengthen the spine, and in order to be safe, you want to go to the range of motion that's appropriate for you. If you have spinal issues, you want the spine to be lengthened, not collapsing on the front of your spine, nice long front spine, shoulder blades pushing forward to lengthen, right elbow lifted, pushing away from the block, one more breath. And with length, you unrotate. Take your block over to the other side. Let's switch legs. Left leg is straight, right leg is bent. So twisting is one of the best ways to create spinal bone stimulation, bone building stimulation, as long as you're not in a collapsed flex position. Or if you have compression fractures and you are limiting your end range of motion. So knowing your body is really important to know how much force you can safely apply to your body. Left leg straight, hold on to the right leg, and you'll see when you pull the leg towards you, you get nice and tall. Put your hand on the block behind you. Keep that left arm lifted. Push the right foot into the floor, left foot into the floor. You're going to inhale, the lower rib cage moves to the right, then the middle rib cage, then the upper. So rotate from the lower ribs on up. When you get here, refine this. Keep the left elbow lifted, right foot pushing into the ground, left foot pushing into the ground. Lower the shoulders, slide the shoulder blades towards each other, and then serve your heart. Be as tall as you could be in your spine here. Deep breaths, breathing down to your belly. Push away from the ground to get tall. Lower the shoulders. Slide the shoulder blades towards each other to lengthen your spine. Elbow lifted, push away, get nice and tall. Take one more breath. And then with length, you're going to lengthen and bring yourself down. Let's go to the other side with a bent knee twist. So with the bent knee twist, you're going to bring the blanket over to the right buttock. You might need to make it a little higher. If your knees don't bend, keep the blanket where it was, and you'll just put the leg over the straight leg. But if you're able to bend, take the right leg and bring the right leg underneath the left buttock. So when you arrange yourself, the left buttock is on top of the right heel, and the right buttock is on top of the blanket. And then bring your left leg across your body. So we're bending the lower body, which is going to put a lot of tension on that posterior hip capsule. So we're stretching that left hip here and stretching the spine, really bringing this rotational force into the body. So you're going to push away from the block, be nice and tall. We rotate in the direction of the knee that is bent. So we're going to rotate in the direction of the knee that's bent up towards the sky. Keep the right arm lifted, push down, get nice and tall. Begin your rotation of the lower rib cage, middle rib cage, and upper rib cage. Push the left buttock into the heel. Push the left foot into the ground. Keep the right elbow lifted. Feel that pulling action on that left buttock and that left side hip. Push your shoulders down, slide your shoulder blades towards each other, and then push them forward and lengthen. Keep the right elbow lifted, feel that torquing action, locking in the pelvis and then rotating the trunk. So pulling on the hip, the side hip. Push down with your block, push down with your feet, lift the right elbow. Shoulders away, together, lift the heart. Take one more breath. And then you're going to lift yourself up, de-rotate, coming out of that rotation. Block is going to go to the other side and you're going to rearrange yourself. So now the blanket is going to go underneath the left buttock. The left leg will bend and the left heel will go underneath the right buttock. So arrange yourself so you feel that pressure of left ankle under right buttock and right leg comes across. If you are not bending your knee, you'll have your left leg going off to the right and the right leg coming over. The block is on the ground behind you. Really push that right buttock down. Get as tall as you can as you inhale into this. Lower ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs. Keep your elbows active. Left elbow is lifting. Push away from the block to get as much height as you can. And then press the shoulders away from the ears. Slide the shoulder blades closer to the center of the spine. And then push them forward to lift, to lengthen. Breathing down to your belly. Stay very active in this. Keep working. Whether you're getting more rotation or more length, postural alignment. Push your feet down, lift your elbow, push away. Long spine, lifted heart. One more breath. And then you're going to unwind, bring yourself out. Coming onto the blanket to sit. Let's bring the legs together in Baddha Konasana. Bound angle. And then go ahead and come out. So we're going to come into side plank, which is why I wanted to be near the wall in the first place, because this is the most challenging posture that I do, by far. Now I'm going to show you the two variations. One of them is a big, big challenge, and the other one is still a challenge, but maybe a little bit easier for you. So to do Vasisthasana side plank, the way you do this is the full variation, where you only have your feet in your hand for support. So that's one option. It's pretty intense. If you're not used to doing it, I'd suggest that you build the strength in your upper body and in your side body towards that. The other variation that you can do using your block is you'll come into, you first take your foot off to the side. So you keep your knee on the ground, but you just slide your foot off to the side. And then you come very lateral. So your leg aligns with your body. And then from here, you lift your arm and you lift your leg, strengthening your side body here and on the ground. So that can be a nice variation, a little bit easier to do. If you're in the middle of the room, there's a lot of balance with that. It's a little more tricky than it looks. But getting all of that strength to come into your joints and the side body, really important. So let's do Vasisthasana. You choose what is the best for you. I only do this for 30 seconds. Maybe one day I'll work up to more, but I do find this to be a very challenging posture. So if you're coming into full version, bring your feet together and then lift your pelvis to roll onto the pinky toe edge. So come into this by rolling into the pinky toe edge. You want to make sure you stay long in your spine and you really push a lot from the foot, from the pinky toe edge of the foot. That's where you're going to get the support that you need to be able to stay up here. Long spine. Push away, keep lifting your pelvis. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. We'll go to the other side. So strengthening our wrists, strengthening the side of the body, really powerful posture. Side plank Vasisthasana. So coming to the other side, you're going to bring your hands, spread your hands, bring your feet so that they touch. Lift your pelvis to roll onto the pinky toe edge of the down foot. That's what we want. And then you want a long torso here, pushing away a lot from that pinky toe edge. That's where we get that power in the side hip, side body, strengthens the spine, the side of the spine, those lateral muscles. Take one more breath. Bringing yourself out of that. Take a rest, whether that's kneeling or crisscross. Close your eyes, catch your breath. Breathe down to your pelvis, down to your belly. You'll notice your heart rate starts to slow down. Taking those deeper breaths, bringing in the oxygen your body's demanding, and that's a sign that you're using a lot of strength, a lot of muscles when you do have the accelerated heart rate. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and open your eyes. So let's do standing work. So we're going to come to standing, and I'd like you to come up slowly because part of this coming up actually strengthens the hips and the lower body. And we want to take our time when we move from one position to the next for fall prevention, allowing our blood vessels to calibrate, blood pressure to calibrate as we go from the bottom, this position here, to a higher position. So taking your hands pretty wide. So I want your hands to be pretty wide and your knees to be pretty wide. Then flip your toes under. So you're not in a tabletop position. Your hands are a little farther forward than that. Then push yourself back, bending your toes, lift your tushy in the air, your gaze is forward. And let's stretch the back of the body here, pushing the heels down towards the ground one at a time, stretching that posterior chain down the calf. And then bending your knees, walk your hands back so that your heels come to touch the ground. Walk your feet wide so they are as wide as your mat. Your hands are on the ground. This is practice bending forward for gardening, for picking up things. Helps us always be able to put on our socks and clothes when we're getting dressed. Bring one hand at a time on top of your thighs. And then the gaze is forward. So the gaze is forward. Can you go down a little lower and then bring yourself up? A little lower. Let it be the hips that are bending. The gaze is forward. Lift your head pretty high. So that third scoop, your head is lifting high and you're challenging the muscles of the upper back and neck, the postural muscles. You're going to feel the burning that's coming into the quadriceps here. And then your next time you're going to slowly bring yourself up, allowing that to calibrate. Clearing your space, make sure you bend your hips to bend down, to clear the space. And let's find alignment in a standing position. This is mountain. So a working posture here, not just hanging out, but trying to arrange your joints. Lift the toes, spread the toes, and place your toes down on the mat. Push your top feet, the toes, and the ball of the foot into the mat, the sides of the feet, and then push the centers of the heels. Now push the top thighs back. Activate your kneecaps. Feel like you're pulling your kneecaps up towards your belly. It's going to activate stabilization in those quadriceps. Take your hands down alongside your body. Reach down with your fingers and push your hands back. And as you push down, can you get taller in your spine? Squeeze your tushy and pull your tailbone down so that you align your pelvis right underneath your rib cage. And then push your head back so that your head is on top of your rib cage. So you have your 3 scoops. You have your cone, which starts at your feet, to the pelvis, which is the first scoop, the rib cage, second scoop, and the head, which is the third. Reach down and back. If you're feeling confident here, can you close one eye and then the other? Or can you close them both and feel this alignment from the toes, the ball of the foot, the pinky toe edge, the heels, up the legs to the pelvis, the rib cage, and the head. Take one more breath. If your eyes are closed, gently blink them open. Trying to find that stacked joint alignment throughout your day. Finding mountain. Let's come from here into a single leg balance. So you have yourself in the mountain position. Let's take the right foot forward and bring the right leg up. Now you determine how high you'd like it to be. You could have the toes on the ground, just the tippy toe, or you could bring it 45 degrees or 90 if you have that in your body. Hands are down alongside your body, feeling that alignment in your body. If you want to challenge yourself here, closing one eye at a time. Lift your heart, lengthen your spine. Once you get a little bit stronger with this, try to close both eyes. So I find this to be an easier posture than tree for me to practice eyes closed. And I do that because I have pretty strong balance. I would never do that if I didn't have strong balance. So keeping yourself safe, challenging yourself in whatever is your appropriate place to be challenged. Take one more breath and then bring yourself out. So only doing what's appropriate for you. Let's come to the other side. You're going to bring the foot forward. You either keep the toe there or you bring yourself up into whatever variation of this posture you're going to do. Once you're in it, finding whatever is an appropriate challenge for you. If trying to close one eye and the other, or trying to close both if that's something that you have in your practice. Really tapping into proprioception when you close your eyes. Oh, it's really interesting when you close your eyes too, because your body has to be in the feeling zone of where are you. It's interesting to see with the eyes closed, what's happening in your body communication of balance. Take one more breath and then bring yourself out. So I feel very confident with my balance, and in the Karate Kid posture, I feel that's where I challenge myself with closing my eyes. If I do it in tree, it's very challenging, but this weight distribution between front and back seems to be a little bit better to do. And then to go into the place of feeling, where is your body? Are you forward? Are you backwards? It's really interesting because there's 3 sections of balance. Well, there's a little more than that, but the main ones, there's proprioception, which is musculoskeletal joint, nerves, where are you? There's the vestibular, which is the head, the ears, has to do with head position, fluid in the ears. And then there's the visual, what we're taking in. So those are three main areas that really show up a lot when it comes to balance. So trying to do all of those and challenge yourself in ways that is appropriate to you is really important. So having the wall here, we're going to do the warrior two. If you'd like to do the warrior two at the wall, go ahead and grab a block. We're going to use the wall to bend the knee and to hold the block at the wall. And this is a real challenge for the lateral chain for the side of the body. So coming from a mountain posture into a wide stance, if balance is an issue for you, you could have a chair in front of you, or being near the wall might be a good idea as well if you have access to a wall. And then lift the left toes, turn the left foot away from you, and then the right heel moves away. So the right foot is turning in, that's an internal joint rotation here, and then the left knee is pushing to the side. The knees are actually pushing away from each other when you come into this. So let's do a couple of coming down into that joint, loading down into the hip and the knee. Your body goes straight down when you come into this, so you load in. You want to make sure you're bending the hip the most and not bringing your torso forward where there's not a bend or a loading down. So the more you load down into that joint, the more pressure you're going to bring. So come down by pushing away from the right. Take the block up against the wall if that's something you're going to be doing. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and down, and then lift your arms up. Look over the front finger. Push away from the back leg. And if you are doing the block, the tushy doesn't touch the wall. Only the leg pushing into the block touches the wall. Long torso. So stronger hips. That front hip's getting a lot of compressive force, a lot of stronger muscle development on that front leg, which is what we need for stronger bones. We need stronger muscles. And then that back leg is also getting pulled on. So there's a lot of hip movement here in the warrior two. Take one more breath. To come out, you bring yourself out. We're going to go to the other side. Keeping your legs forward at first, switching the block. Lift the right toes away, left heels away. And let's do a little to load down into that front hip and front knee, warming up the joint. Make sure you're tracking over your foot. So the kneecap goes over the middle of that foot. Don't let it collapse inward. That's terrible for knee health. And really push away from the back leg so you load down into this. And let's come in one more, coming in. Take the block at the wall if you're using the block. Shoulders are forward, up, back, and they're down. And reach your hands up. Look over that front middle finger. And then keep your feet in this nice active position. Push into the pinky toe edge of the back foot, pinky toe edge of the front foot, and grab the floor with your toes, nice and tall in your body. If you are using the block, your tushy doesn't touch the wall. You should be between two sheets of glass. The tushy's not back and the chest is not forward. You're in this nice linear position. Nice long spine. Take one more breath and then bring yourself out. Come all the way up, come all the way out. And then shake your feet, shake your toes. So we're going to come into a chair posture. I'm going to give you a couple of variations of this. So if you have your strap, we could put the block in between the knees. And with the strap, you could either take the loop of the strap, put your hands in between the loop of the strap, holding it like that, or you could take the strap and pull onto the strap. And then when your feet are only block distance here, you're going to squeeze the tushy, point the tailbone down. So try to do a couple of tilts here. Do some pelvic tilting. Squeeze the block and try to flatten out the low back. You'll feel the lengthening of the low back from the lower ribs to the top of the pelvis, stretching those muscles. Not rounding the upper spine. We're not coming into flexion in the thoracic. You're taking the lumbar spine into a flexed position, a little chucking of the pelvis, a little tilting backwards. And we're going to come down into this. So you're going to push your tushy back, push your arms forward to counterbalance so that you'll go back pretty far into your legs. When you're here, squeeze your block and then squeeze the tushy and pull the tailbone down so that you're lengthening that place between the lower ribs and the top of the pelvis. And then going a little lower if you can, you should feel a lot of work in the glutes here. Upper torso, don't be so rigid in your upper torso. Really lengthen the lower back, pulling the top of the pelvis away from the lower ribs. Push the belly button strongly towards the low back to protect the low back. Go deeper in your hip bend if you can. It's bending at the hip. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up and out. So single leg balance is fantastic for hip strength. And I'd like to do a single leg balance. I'll give you some options. There's two different options. These are more challenging postures. If you are near a wall, doing the dancer pose near a wall will be a little bit safer. You won't fall out maybe. So doing dancer pose at the wall could be one. That's one option. Or you could try eagle posture with me. So you have to be a little flexible for this. That's why I wanted to give you a different option. So take your left foot on the ground, take your right leg and wrap your right leg around your left. You could put your right toes on the ground or wrap around the calf if you could do that. The right leg is on top. Take the right arm underneath the left arm and wrap your arms. So you either do eagle on one side or dancer, you choose. Not everybody can do the eagle. Push your legs into each other, your arms into each other to give a little bit more stabilization. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out and down just to see the side of that, giving you the visual of the side of the eagle, making sure that you're nice and tall in your eagle. So either do the dancer on the other side or let's come to the side for eagle. Right leg on the ground. You take your left leg, you could either put your foot on the ground or wrap all the way around if you have that ability. Left leg is on top, so left arm underneath, right arm on top, and then bind yourself in the eagle. Mouth is closed, breathe in and out through your nose. To be effective here, you push the legs into each other and the arms into each other. Working the center midline like you're on a pole, like a carousel pony. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. Shake your body, shake your limbs, shake. So come down onto the ground, get your blanket, bring your blanket onto your mat. And then you'll need your strap. So get your strap, put your strap near you. Then come down. I like to come down through a squat. Wide legs, toes are out. If you are bending, you bend at the hip, not at the spine. So bringing yourself down, gaze is forward, loading into the joints And then bring yourself onto the ground, onto your buttocks. And then you could challenge your core when you come down, keeping the front of your spine long. Contract, contract, contract. Or come down in any way that you need. Take your strap here. If you have a loop, using the loop will help to strengthen the side hip joint in the bridge. And if you don't have a loop, you could tie it, or you could put a block between your legs. Feet through the strap, strap to the top thighs. Moving the blanket away from the back of the head. Take your arms in the ground and slide your shoulder blades towards each other. So you have nice flat upper back. We'll use those shoulder blades to bend the upper spine as much as possible. Arms are down alongside your body. Lift your head, lengthen your neck. Push out of the strap and tilt your pelvis back so you flatten your low back. Inhale. As you exhale, push your feet into the floor. Push out in the strap. Push away from the floor to lift the pelvis, to push the pelvis away from the floor. Start to bend your spine as much as you can, pushing your arms into the ground, pushing the arms in. If you could put your arms straight, you could try that, or if you could clasp your arms. Really push your arms into the ground, and then push your shoulder blades forward to bend your spine as much as possible. Push out on the strap, push your feet into the floor, activate your glutes. Try to unbend your hip, and then make sure that the weight is coming to the upper back area. You don't have any pressure in your head or neck. Bending your spine as much as you can in bridge. Push your arms into the ground a lot. That'll help give you that back bend that we need in the bridge pose for bone health, for spinal health. Shoulder blades are pushing forward to bend your spine. Push out on the strap a lot. Push into the ground with the arms. Take one more breath. And then take your arms out to the side. Lift your heels up. Pull your pelvis away from your rib cage so you lengthen your torso, and tilt your pelvis back so you press the upper spine into the floor, stretching the low back. And then bring yourself down onto the floor. Take the blanket back behind your head. Strap off, knees into your heart. And then take the strap. Let's do a double leg stretch as our last posture before Shavasana, which is the final posture. The legs are about 8 inches apart. Try to get the legs straight if you can. Push the tailbone down and pull your legs towards the back wall. So push your tailbone down so you keep the pelvis down. Don't let the pelvis tilt and fly up. And then draw the legs back towards the wall behind you. Push the tailbone down and guide the legs back. Take one more breath. And then release. Take the strap off, bring your knees into your chest. Wide legs. So the last posture is the posture of integration, letting all the work that was done, the stimulation that was created to settle, to let your body be in a bone building zone. So let your legs go long, your arms go long. Stay in a relaxed state, focusing on your breath. Stay here in the present moment. Don't go into what comes next or what was. Stay here with your breath. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to bring movement into your body. Bending one leg at a time, and then drawing one knee at a time into your chest, holding onto your legs, drawing your knees deeper, and side to side. Coming onto your side, pushing yourself up, kneeling or seated to close the practice. Bring your hands to your heart. Pushing your hands to your heart to your hands. Long neck, long spine. We'll close with sound, a gentle humming sound. Take an exhale. Inhale deeply. Bringing the hands up to the forehead, we bow forward in gratitude. Namaste. All right. So, love to hear from some of you. How was that? Was I freezing? All right. Hopefully you were able to follow along. Is anyone still here? I see that it's still going. So, let's see. So anyone that's here, let me know if you could still hear me and see me. Okay, good. You didn't have that problem. It's so interesting to me. Sometimes people can hear, sometimes not. So it's hard to know, is it my service? Is it your service? What are the factors that go into this? All right, any questions you have for an orthopedic surgeon or on bioidentical hormone replacement? You could put it here right now if you have a question. And then if you're in my community, go in the community. I have a section that I posted that I would be interviewing Dr. Patel on bioidentical, and you could ask questions there. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. It always feels great to be done, right? You know, it's not always easy to show up and to do the work. The great part, though, is once you do it and the accumulation of doing it and then how strong you feel. I really love that. All right. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. And I'll see you. Like if you like this, subscribe if you're not subscribed. You're welcome, Kendall. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.